Interviews with business owners and veteran executives who share their wisdom and expertise to help you de-stress, free up time, and make more money. Profits of IT. Welcome back to the Profits of IT. I am Jim Punzenberger, your host and the creator of the Managed Prospecting System, looking to generate new partners or clients without cold calling, ad spend, or spamming. Be sure to check out managedprospectingsystem.com. Excited to have Tom with me today. Tom, please introduce yourself and the company that you work for.
Hi, my name's Tom Watson, and I've been in the channel for just about 25 years now. I'm a former MSP owner, sold my MSP in 2015, and worked for Acxiom a couple of years. And then I'm still under contract for Ninja right now, doing some marketing work for them, webinars, podcasts, that kind of thing. And I also own a business called MSP Go, where I do some consulting for MSPs on operations, sales, and marketing.
Cool. So, Tom, what's something interesting about yourself outside of work?
Well, I would say, Jim, my big hobby is I do vegetable gardening, and I do it for myself and my family. And I also volunteer in General George C. Marshall's garden, responsible for the Marshall Plan. He's deceased, but we maintained his garden as it was when he was alive.
Yeah. So do you have any one quick tip on growing vegetables? I've tried it myself and they just all the seeds, I put them in the dirt and nothing happens. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong. What do you have any quick
Yeah,
tips
science, but actually you hit on one of my big ones. Before you start your seeds, soak them for 24 hours in water. And
Okay.
you will get a much higher germination rate.
So soak the seeds for 24 hours in water before you put them in the dirt.
Yep.
Got it. So, Tom, what would you say is your superpower when it comes to business, or what to contribute your success to, and how can others learn from that to be more successful themselves?
Jim, I love that question because you know what? I was a pretty good network engineer, not great. And I know most MSPs, they say the opposite, but I was a very good salesperson. That's kind of my superpower in business. I know how to talk about things and to get people say excited and passionate and to feel my energy and passion and to buy.
That sounds like a great superpower. So, if you're talking to the guys that said, I'm a great engineer, but I'm not a good salesperson. Do you have any tips on those for those guys
Yeah,
that, like myself, that's not a great salesperson to become a better salesperson?
it does come easy for some of us, but it still can be learned. And here's the thing is that and I mentioned passion twice in what I spoke about there about it. Find out what your passion is when it comes to your part of tech and business, and then try to speak about that passion, but without the technical terms. Talk about your energy and why you like it and why it will help that potential client, what they could get out of it, and speak it in terms of what they will get. And then it will often come through. And you're not really selling, you're just talking about how you feel.
Excuse me. So, what else is important to know about selling, and what other tips do you have?
Well, that's one of the first things. I would kind of say that falls under be authentic and then show your passion. Be cognizant always of how a prospect is going to view your services, what you're doing, as opposed to how you view them. And try to put yourself in their shoes of what would they want to hear that would make them understand why this is valuable to them. Trying to always be thinking from that perspective. And then my biggest thing to talk to people about doing sales is don't get stuck in just talking at them or talking about what you are so passionate about. Express that and then follow up with questions. So I like to tell people it's great to tell them, hey, listen, I think this technology is really good for you. This spam filtering is going to make it so you're not dealing with all these clutter in your inbox. It's also going to provide some security. But also, let's talk about when you have something like that in place for you at your business, it's going to free you up to not be spending time on it. And we all know if you have more free time, you're going to be making more money. Am I right? So that way I try to put it in their park and then I try to ask a question and get their confirmation about is that true?
Uh-huh. So you're talking about questions to ask. Do you have any more examples of great questions that they can ask?
I think it's always good to just start out with some opening questions of, if someone has like an IT provider or already has a software provider or something, ask them. This is an unusual one. A lot of people like to go right to, what do you not like about your current provider? And I like to tell people instead, skip that. Say, what do you like about the current service you have? What do you like about that provider right now? Because if you can identify what they like, then it's a much easier question. People feel often a little bit confronted when you go right into the negative. So
Uh-huh.
finding out what is good about it can give you a lot of places to talk about that. And you can also start to decide, is this the right prospect for me? Because it's a two-way street.
Okay. Any more? Just to find out, well, I guess one question is what they like. Any other questions you have that would be good to ask in a sales conversation?
Make sure when you ask these questions, you really kind of sit back, maintain eye contact, and have them give you an answer. Find out what they really feel about it, and then make sure you don't cut them off. Let them continue to speak on that and maybe draw a little more information out. And then maybe a follow up is, what do you wish that service did better?
Got it.
Once again, the nice pause, wait and see what they have to say, and then go on. And then maybe you have some more directed questions about, what are you paying for that service? What are you getting out of it? What does it include? Is it a contract? You can start to dig deeper into those details, but you want to make people feel a little warm at first and make them feel like you're not confronting them, because I always like to remind people that when they're talking about services they have, they made a choice to get these services. They did something, they made a choice. So you don't want to make them feel bad about it.
Hmm.
You want to make them feel, hey, that's great. It was probably, and that was probably a really good service when you started out. I'm thinking, and wait, and they'll probably say yes. But it sounds to me like maybe you've outgrown that, and maybe you need to look at something different if you're gonna continue to grow your business. It might be holding you back. Is that the case?
Yeah, I guess that sounds like the case. How can you help me?
Yeah. And then it kind of gets them, exactly, just like you said, Jim. Then it gets them back into their role, and they might come at you and say, "Well, okay, great. What is it you can do?" And once they are asking questions of you, oh, you're good to go. You're in a good space, because they are genuinely want to know how your service is going to be different than what they have, because we already know they're talking to you. And if they're talking to you, there's got to be a reason beyond just saying yes. They're giving you some of their time and energy. There must be some reason that they're not completely happy. Because I know this, Jim. If I'm completely happy with something, I'm not going to take the time to speak to another
So
provider.
the fact that they're speaking to you means that they're not completely happy with their current solution.
Yeah, I'm not completely happy, or maybe it's like, maybe they're at a point where they're wondering if something else better is out there, because maybe the big benefits of what they have kind of dropped off, and maybe there's not a real problem, but maybe they know they could be getting more out of somewhere else. And so getting them to the point that they want to know what you have, that's ideal.
Uh-huh. Any other tips on how to improve at sales?
I think what's really important is like that first 30 seconds. When you get this person on the phone or in person, and you do a very good job. Let's say it's like an elevator pitch, cold call situation. You run into someone in a networking meeting. I always worry that, you go to you're in that situation, and the person leaves the conversation after a couple of minutes and doesn't know who you are, what work you do, and what the company you work for or own does, and how you can help them. And that's a lot to get by in 30 seconds, but at minimum 30 seconds, you can probably tell them, hey, I'm Tom with MSP Go, and I provide consulting service to MSPs, including on operations, sales, and marketing.
Hmm.
And that took what, like 15 seconds.
Right. So now that we just mentioned MSP Go, is there any specific types of MSPs that are uh, that should do business with you specifically? I don't know if they're a certain size or a certain stage of business. What would be an indicator that they'd be a great fit for you?
Well, first of all, we got a couple of different cases of MSPs. We've got what, when we're more lifestyle businesses, where they're kind of happy maybe being one man or a couple people, and don't have an office, not looking to add salespeople. I would say where I come in is you've made the decision you want to have more than a lifestyle business, and you might have come from being a lifestyle business, but maybe you want to scale this up and you want to hire salespeople. Maybe you want to do some active marketing. Maybe you want to know what tools you need to get to take it to the next level. I've worked with a lot of MSPs that are right under about $1 million revenue per year
Uh-huh.
that need to figure out what it takes to get over that hump. And that's usually the addition of salespeople. It's usually the addition of some kind of marketing plan. It's usually making sure you've got the right tools to manage agreements on the back end and your billing processes and all of that.
Cool. So really it sounds like if you're trying to get over the $1 million hump, that's a great, you might be a good fit for them to help them to get over that.
Yeah, even a little bit lower than that. Even I've worked with several that were maybe like at 500,000 a year. I would say lower than that, you can probably get a lot of the help you need from watching webinars. Like for example, I do work for Ninja, and we have this MSP live chat series. We've been doing it for 2 years. We give lots of free help in there that would help MSPs in the smaller size. But there's a lot of free stuff out there and good books. I would say you bring the consultant in and when you really need the help and you're stuck, because I'm not going to lie to you, it's going to cost you a little money.
Right.
You're going to spend a few $1,000s to have a consultant working with you for a few months. And you want to make sure your business is in a position where you can really take advantage of what a person like that has to offer. Otherwise, if you're not sure you want to grow, or you don't have like maybe multiple technicians and you don't have plans to hire salespeople yet, or at least do some marketing, then you're probably not going to want to spend the money for having an expert come in and tell you how to do it, because you're probably not going to have the pieces that you can go forward with it from there.
That makes sense. So Tom, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, what's the best way of doing that?
Well, I have my website, mspgo.com.
mspgo.com.
Yep, and but that's good. But also just reach out to me on LinkedIn. I find kind of LinkedIn's kind of the best way. But there
LinkedIn.
is on mspgo.com, there is a Calendly link right at the top, and you can fill it out and get an appointment with me.
That
And
sounds
I give
good.
an hour free away to everyone. In that hour, we can talk about whatever you want. We can talk about your agreements, your sales process. I'll give you free consulting for a full hour too.
Oh, that sounds like a great offer. So mspgo.com or LinkedIn, Tom Watson.
Yeah, if you like to type in Tom Watson MSP or Tom Watson Ninja, that brings me up. I do have listed as my primary employer, my work with Ninja.
Got it. Tom Watson is probably a common name, so you probably
Yeah.
need more than just Tom Watson.
So Jim, I'm really curious about how all of this works into what you do. For the audience. I'm kind of new to you. You reached
Uh-huh.
out. I took a quick look at things, but I'm really curious as well.
Yeah, so I work with in two types of companies. One is the IT service providers themselves to generate new clients, and then the other side is with the channel companies to recruit channel partners. And I have my managed prospecting system. That's the system that we use to do that for both. Just small tweaks in it, depending on if you're going to recruit, if you're recruiting user clients versus if you're recruiting partners and resellers. But it's really, there's 4 steps to the process. It's a matter of identifying who the prospect is and why they should be doing business with you, crafting a message that they're going to see value in, and then doing the research to find these companies and contacts, and doing the outreach to them to get them to so that they know about you, and then respond to your offer. So
Right.
that's what we do.
Yeah, it sounds like there's some nice overlap between what we do and but not exactly the same thing. Sounds like we should probably do some work together.
Probably we'll have to talk more about this offline.
Yeah, so I'm really curious. There's a lot of things going on in the MSP community right now, and we've got the trade shows starting up. I think and we've got kind of restrictions lessening. I think this is
Uh-huh.
going to be a really good year for us.
I do too. I think the businesses are realizing that they still have to operate, even whatever if there is, you know, COVID is part of it, no COVID, the economy is really steaming hot or the economy is cold. No matter what it is, businesses still have to operate. So, and I think they've realized that, and really are getting back to operating as normal as possible. So I see 2022 as going to be a great year.
Yeah, what I'm looking at and what I'm talking to MSPs about is it's been a couple years since you really had your networking game on, and this might be a chance to kind of reassess that and go into it strong with, rather than just kind of piecemeal and going all these different groups and stuff like that. Try to find like one or two really solid groups, maybe like a really good chamber or like a really good BNI group, or like a county government or city government that has a technology commission, and
Uh-huh.
get involved at a leadership level so you are seen. That's like kind of my big message to MSPs lately.
Involved. So take a leadership role, and so you have high visibility within
Yeah.
all the members of the group.
You know what I'm talking about. That visibility where people see you as an expert is
Yeah,
everything.
that's why we're doing this right now. You and I are on here for the visibility and to be seen as experts, right?
That's right. If you're not, and that's my feeling. And I know it's tough for a lot out there. I know a lot of guys come out of the network engineering side, and they don't really feel the love when they start doing this kind of stuff. But focus on what you're good at, and there'll be a group out there. And if you can put yourself out forward in that group, people will tune in, and they will start to see you as an expert in technology. And when they do, it's amazing the business that comes in without even really trying.
Or what my recommendation would be for them is to start their own in some way, or do it like this, like a podcast, or some sort of way that they can be in front of their audience, other local businesses on a regular basis, and a way that they can speak to them, uh, and also help the community themselves by learning from other businesses and getting exposure to other businesses. So
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely. Even
yeah,
or podcast or even in person. Some type of, I did I used to have in my MSP days, for 2 years, I ran a really successful happy hour. And I'd have it the third Thursday of each month at the same place,
uh-huh.
and bar restaurant, and people got to come, and I got tons of business out of that because it wasn't that formal. And I'd buy a few appetizers and a couple rounds, and I got so much business out of that, Jim. And I look at that now and I'm thinking like, wow, with things starting to open up, that's a great technique.
Yes, I, I think that when you're putting it together, it goes back to again what you said before about getting the visibility, being the leader in whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Tom, well, thank you for your time here today and sharing this great wisdom and knowledge. It's been my pleasure having you on.
It's been great. Really appreciate it. Love to do it again sometime.
I'll hope to speak with you soon. And until next time on the Profits of IT, I am Jim Punzenberger, your host and the creator of the Managed Prospecting System. Be sure to check out managedprospectingsystem.com. Thank you for tuning in to the Profits of IT. Please smash that like button, subscribe, and share.